When 5 rich kids beat a 16-year-old girl half to death next to a school stadium in Volgodonsk, they thought it was just another way to kill time in their boring provincial town. When the police closed the case in less than 24 hours, they were sure Daddy's money and connections would shield them forever. When the girl's father, a quiet auto mechanic with oil-stained hands and silent eyes, tried to get justice and was laughed out of the station, they mocked him. But none of them knew one tiny detail. 39 years ago, that silent mechanic wasn't born to fix cars. He was born to be a weapon. 20 years ago, he served in a unit that never officially existed. A unit you weren't allowed to mention out loud. A unit with no records, no budget lines, no name on any document. Its symbol was simple: deadly. A black whirlwind surrounded by lightning. They called it Smirch. Death whirlwind. A force of nature that erases everything in its path. Now that whirlwind has woken up, and the ones who touched his daughter are about to learn that some storms cannot be stopped. Before we continue, smash that subscribe button and drop in the comments where you're watching from. My name is Alexey Vladimirovich Morozov, 39 years old. For the last 15 years I've been nothing but an auto mechanic running a small shop on the outskirts of Volgodonsk, a quiet industrial town of 170,000 souls, 200 kilometers from Rostov-on-Don. Most people here work at the nuclear plant, the chemical factory, or the port. The young leave for Rostov or Krasnodar. What's left are working families and pensioners. My shop is called Morozov Auto Repair. Old brick garage I bought for pennies 20 years ago. 2 lifts, a workbench, shelves of spare parts, the smell of motor oil and metal. Honest work for honest money. I fix everything. Cars, trucks, tractors from nearby villages. I work alone. Fewer questions, fewer words. Clients come by word of mouth. I don't advertise. I just do the job fast, good and cheap. People respect that. The town knows me. Quiet guy, good with his hands, minds his own business. Nobody asks about the scars on my arms. Nobody asks why I live alone with my daughter. In towns like this, a man is allowed to have a past he doesn't talk about. My daughter, Elizaveta Alexeyevna Morozova. Everyone calls her Liza. 16 years old. 10th grade. School number 14. Smart, kind, serious girl. Light hair to her shoulders, gray eyes like her mother's, a smile that could warm the coldest Russian winter. Her mother, my wife Irina, died 8 years ago. Cancer. Fast and merciless. Diagnosed in June. Gone by October. Liza was 8. She kept asking when Mommy was coming home from the hospital. I didn't know what to say. I just held her hand at the funeral and stayed silent. After Irina was gone, I raised Liza alone. Made breakfast, walked her to school, helped with homework, went to every parent-teacher meeting. Worked all day in the shop, came home tired, but always found time to talk about her day, her friends, her dreams. She wanted to become a doctor, to help people the way doctors tried and failed, to help her mom. We live in a modest 2-room apartment on the 5th floor of a concrete panel block on Gagarin Street. Simple working-class neighborhood. Liza turned it into a home. Photos of her mother on the walls, flowers on the windowsills, bright pillows on the couch. She never complained, never asked for expensive clothes or the latest phone. She understood money was tight. She cooked dinner when I was late, cleaned the apartment on weekends, studied hard, no grades below an A. She had 2 close friends, Katia and Marina. Normal girls from normal families. After school they walked together, studied, sometimes went to cheap morning movies. Nothing dangerous. Just ordinary teenage life in a small town. I always knew where she was. She texted or called if she'd be late. We trusted each other. She was all I had left after Irina. My whole world. At night we watched TV together. She leaned against my shoulder, told me about school, teachers, her future plans. Sometimes she asked about her mom. I told her stories. How we met. How happy Irina was when she found out she was pregnant with Liza. Liza listened, sometimes cried quietly. I held her and said her mother would be proud. She never asked about my past. She saw the scars, old bullet wounds, shrapnel marks, Burns. Once she asked where they came from. Army, I said. She nodded and never asked again. Smart girl. She understood some doors must stay closed. 15 years ago I buried that past deep. When I left the Army I swore, never again. No more weapons. No more killing. No more darkness. I married Irina, had Liza, opened the shop. Simple, honest, peaceful life. But the past doesn't let go. It lives inside like shrapnel under the skin. Every night the same dreams. Chechnya, Dagestan, Syria. Burning villages, screams, the smell of gunpowder and blood. Operations that never happened. Orders that couldn't be questioned. People I killed because that was the mission. I wake at 3 a.m. soaked in sweat, heart pounding, hand shaking. I drink cold water, stare out the window at the dark courtyard until the shaking stops. Liza never wakes. I make sure of it. That's why, when the hospital called yesterday and said Liza was in intensive care, beaten nearly to death near the school, doctors unsure if she'll ever walk again, something inside me broke. Irreversibly. The mechanic Alexei Morozov died in that moment. The whirlwind came back. But let me tell you exactly how it happened. Yesterday was a regular Tuesday, October 23rd. Cold, plus 5 degrees Celsius, drizzling rain. Typical southern Russian autumn. I was in the shop since 8 a.m. Changing oil, fixing suspensions, diagnostics. Normal day. Around 2 p.m. Liza texted. Dad, going with the girls to the school festival after classes. Home by 8. Don't worry. I wrote back. Okay. Be careful. Call when you leave. She always did. I finished work around 7, locked up, walked home. Cooked dinner. Fried potatoes with sausages, salad. Sat waiting. TV on, news droning. 8:30 p.m. Phone rang. Unknown number. Female voice, cold and official. Alexei Vladimirovich Morozov? Father of Elizaveta Morozova. My heart stopped. Yes. Your daughter is in intensive care. Severe injuries. You need to come now. Time froze. I grabbed my jacket, ran downstairs, caught a taxi. 7 minutes to City Hospital number 2. I didn't speak. The driver saw my face and floored it. Hospital smell. Disinfectant and despair. Reception 2nd floor, ICU, room 7. The doctor. 40s, tired eyes. Your daughter was beaten. Multiple contusions, fractured right tibia, comminuted. Moderate brain concussion, internal bruising. She may walk again, but probably with a limp. Sports are out. We operated, installed plates and pins. 6 months minimum recovery. I felt the rage rising, slow, cold, volcanic. Who did this? 5 young men. Witnesses saw everything. Police are investigating. I demanded to see her. They let me in for 5 minutes. My little girl. Face swollen, bruised, left eye shut, lip split, head bandaged. Right leg in a frame, hanging. Breathing through tubes. I sat, held her cold hand, memorized every bruise. Kissed her forehead. Whispered, I promise. They will pay. Then I walked out. Called the police from the hallway. Captain Sokolov. Come tomorrow morning. The attackers? Sons of influential people. Pavel Karpin, son of city deputy Vladimir Karpin, and 4 friends. They'll come with lawyers. We can't arrest them yet. Translation. They're already being protected. I understood. The system I once served refuses to protect my daughter. Fine. Then I'll protect her myself. I went home at midnight. Opened the metal box I hadn't touched in 15 years. Inside, tactical knife, Tokarev TT pistol with 3 magazines, old radio, secret military ID, and the black patch, silver whirlwind and lightning. Under it, in Latin letters, SMERCH. Below, in Russian, force of nature. I checked the blade, razor sharp. Checked the pistol, flawless. Loaded a magazine. The hurricane is back. I spent the night gathering intel. Pavel Karpin, 19, deputy's son, white BMW X6. His 4 friends, sons of the city's elite. They live in the guarded Donskoy cottage village. They planned the attack. Posted about it online. Bored. Let's mess with some kids at the school festival. They chose my daughter on purpose. I studied the village layout, cameras, power grid, blind spots. Found the weak point. Tonight the lights go out for exactly 30 seconds. That's all I'll need. This morning I went to the police station, gave my statement. Captain Sokolov as good as admitted. Powerful fathers, expensive lawyers. They'll probably get probation or a fine. I looked him in the eye and said nothing. He doesn't know it yet, but he just signed 5 death sentences. Because 15 years ago I buried the monster. Last night my little girl's blood dug it back up. They woke the whirlwind. Now hell follows. Subscribe. This story is just beginning. They touched the wrong daughter. And some storms you don't survive. My daughter is lying in a hospital bed with a shattered leg, possibly crippled for life. And you're telling me they'll walk away with a fine. Captain Sokolov looked away. I understand your pain, Alexei Vladimirovich. But that's the system. I don't make the laws. I just enforce them. I stood up. My voice was ice. So there will be no justice. Sokolov stood too. Please. Don't do anything stupid. Don't try to take justice into your own hands. It will only make things worse, for you and for your daughter. I stared into his eyes. You'll put that in writing? Officially. Yes. Come the day after tomorrow. We'll take your statement. I turned and walked out. The rain had turned cold and merciless, soaking me to the bone as I stood outside the station. Inside me, every last doubt died. The system would not protect Liza. The law belongs to the rich. Justice doesn't exist. Only money, power, and connections. Then I will become justice. I called the hospital, asked to be connected to Liza's ward. A nurse answered. She woke up an hour ago. Stable. You can visit after 2 p.m. I had 4 hours. I took a taxi to the industrial zone, to the old transformer substation that feeds the entire Western District, including the elite Donskoy cottage village. I memorized the main switch. One pull of the red lever and the whole area goes dark for exactly 30 seconds before the backup generator kicks in. 30 seconds is all a Smerch operative ever needed. Then I walked through the rain to the forest that borders the village. Found the blind spot in the fence. Counted the cameras. Planned the breach. At 2 p.m. I was at the hospital. Liza was sitting up in bed, face still swollen, but her eyes lit up when she saw me. She smiled weakly, then started shaking and crying the moment I hugged her. They just attacked us, Dad. For no reason. They were drunk. The tall one, Pavel Karpin, grabbed Katya. I pushed him away, and then he looked at me like I was nothing. He dragged me down by my hair and they all started hitting and kicking. I couldn't even scream properly. I just remember the laughing. And then black. I held her while rage turned into something cold, surgical, unstoppable. She whispered, Dad, please don't do anything to them. They'll destroy you. His father is a deputy. They own the city. I kissed her forehead. Trust me, Liza. Just trust me. Visiting hours ended. I left. That night I became a ghost again. Black clothes, black beanie, thick gloves, knife on my calf, Tokarev on my belt, rope, lockpicks, everything from the old box. 11:05 p.m. I pulled the lever. The Western District plunged into darkness. 5 minutes later I was over the fence, inside the village, invisible. 10 minutes after that I was inside the Karpin mansion. Back door, 1 minute with the pics. Pavel was in his room, lying on his bed, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. I pressed the Tokarev to his temple and ripped the earbuds out. One sound and you die. Understand? He nodded, eyes wide, piss already running down his leg. I made him feel what my daughter felt. helpless, small, waiting for the next blow that might end everything. I raised the knife to take the finger he pointed at Liza with, then stopped. Physical pain heals. Fear like this, that stays forever. I took a photo of him crying, snot-faced, broken. Insurance. Then I dragged him downstairs. His father, Deputy Vladimir Karpin, reached for his phone. I showed him the pistol. We had a conversation. Money was offered, millions. I refused. I told them exactly who I used to be, what I was capable of. What would happen if they ever came near my daughter again? The mother begged. The father threatened. Pavel just shook. Then something unexpected happened. Pavel looked at his father and said, "Enough, Dad. I'm done living like this. I'm going to the police tomorrow. I'll confess everything. I'm taking responsibility." For the first time, I saw real shame in the boy's eyes. Maybe terror finally woke up a conscience. Maybe he just didn't want me coming back with the knife. Didn't matter. I left the same way I came, over the fence, through the forest, lights back on, no trace. Home by 1:30 a.m. Showered, hid the gear, lay in bed staring at the ceiling until dawn. 8 a.m. Phone rang. Hospital. Liza wanted me. I went to her. She had nightmares all night. Held her again. Promised everything would be all right. At 8:55 a.m. I walked into police station number 3. Captain Sokolov looked up, stunned. "Morozov, we weren't expecting you today. Any news?" He exhaled, almost smiled. At 8:30 this morning Pavel Karpin walked in alone. No lawyer. Gave a full confession. Named all 5 of them. Asked to be charged. The other 4 are in interrogation rooms right now. We're opening a criminal case, Article 111, Part 2. Intentional grievous bodily harm. Group attack. 3 to 10 years. I felt the storm inside me finally quiet. Will they get real time? Sokolov shrugged. First offense, rich parents. Probably suspended sentences or a labor colony. But the case is ironclad now. Karpin's confession is on record. The deputy can't bury it anymore. The press is already sniffing. Suspended sentences. Still not justice. But it was something. Liza would see them punished, even if only on paper. And they would see me in their nightmares for the rest of their lives. I looked Sokolov dead in the eye. Tell the deputy one thing from me. The hurricane went back to sleep. But if anyone ever touches my daughter again, there won't be a trial. There won't even be bodies. I walked out into the cold morning sun. For the first time in days I could breathe. The whirlwind had returned. And delivered justice the only way the system ever understands. Some storms you don't survive. Some fathers you don't wake. Here is the final part of the story in the same gripping cinematic English style. Dark, honest, and emotionally raw. They crippled a 16-year-old girl for life. And they get suspended sentences. Captain Sokolov spread his hands. I'm not the judge, Morozov. I only investigate. The court decides. He was right. That's how the system works. Rich kids almost never see the inside of a real cell for their first crime. Lawyers will cry youth, genuine remorse, voluntary compensation. But at least they were found guilty. At least they now have a criminal record that will follow them forever. At least the whole town finally knows what their golden youth really is. Good, I said. Come the day after tomorrow for the official statement. I walked out. In the lobby I saw Vladimir Karpin standing by the window, red-faced, shouting into his phone. He saw me, ended the call, and stepped forward. Morozov. I stopped on the last stair, calm, emotionless. He lowered his voice so the desk sergeant wouldn't hear. Are you happy now? My son surrendered. Confessed everything. His life is ruined. You didn't ruin his life, I answered. He did that the moment he decided to beat a defenseless girl. Karpin clenched his fists. You broke into my house with a gun. That's a crime. You could report me, I said. But you won't. Why are you so sure? Because then the whole city would learn that a simple mechanic put a deputy on his knees. Your reputation would bleed more than my freedom. Hatred burned in his eyes. You think you won. You're wrong. I have money, connections, power. I'll make sure my son gets the lightest punishment possible. And then I'll come for you. I stepped closer, voice low and hard. Try it. But remember what I told you last night. If anything happens to me or my daughter, everything I have on you, land scams, kickbacks, tax evasion, goes straight to every journalist and prosecutor in the country. I've already made copies. They're safe. Karpin went pale. You're bluffing. I smiled. Test me. I walked past him. He didn't stop me. Outside, the sun finally broke through the clouds for the first time in days. Maybe it was a sign. I walked slowly through the city, thinking. I had committed several serious crimes myself in the last 48 hours. But sometimes the system fails so completely that a man has to create justice with his own hands. Do I regret it? Not for a second. Around 3 in the afternoon, a man walked into my shop. 60, iron gray hair, perfect military posture, ice gray eyes. I hadn't seen him in 15 years, but I knew him instantly. Colonel Igor Petrovich Varnin, former commander of Smerch Unit. Comrade Colonel. He gave a tired smile. Easy with the rank, Morozov. I've been retired 10 years. Just Igor Petrovich now. He looked around the shop. So you became a mechanic. Honest work. How did you find me? I still have friends. When the power went out in Donskoy last night and Deputy Karpin started screaming about an armed intruder who moved like a professional, description matched. I put 2 and 2 together. He lit a cigarette without asking. You went to war for your daughter. I protected my child, I said. The system wouldn't even try. Varnin nodded. The system is rotten. The rich always walk. The poor always bleed. You did what a real man is supposed to do. He took a drag. But now you have a problem. Karpin won't forgive. He'll find a way to hit back. I'm ready. I know you are. That's why I'm here. He handed me a plain white card with only a phone number. My people, retired Smerch, good men, will watch you and your daughter from tomorrow. Unofficially. If Karpin moves, we'll know first. Why help me? I walked away from the unit. Against your orders. Because Smerch never abandons its own. Even the ones who left. He stood. Take care of yourself, Morozov. And take care of that girl. The world is a dangerous place for decent people. He left. That evening, I visited Liza. She was laughing with Katia and Marina. Real laughter, the first in weeks. Later, when we were alone, she asked quietly, Dad, do you think they'll put him in prison? Maybe. Or suspended. Depends on the judge. She looked down. I don't want him to go to prison. I stared at her, stunned. Because he's young, she said. Prison will only make him worse. Mom always said revenge doesn't bring peace. It just creates more pain. I don't want revenge, Dad. I just want him to understand what he did, and never do it again. I looked at my daughter and realized she was better than me. Kinder. Wiser. More human. I was ready to kill for her. She was ready to forgive. You're right, I whispered. Revenge and justice aren't the same thing. That night, 3 men Karpin sent jumped me outside the hospital. They lasted less than 30 seconds. I left them groaning in the rain and sent the deputy a short, clear message through the one still conscious. Next time I won't be gentle. The next days were quiet. Liza came home on crutches. 2 weeks later the trial began. I sat in court every day, watching Pavel Karpin answer questions calmly, honestly. His father sat stone-faced across the aisle. Liza gave her testimony by video link. Voice shaking but unbroken. A month later the verdict. Pavel Karpin, 3 years suspended, 3 years probation, 200 hours community service, 500,000 rubles compensation. The other 4, 2 years suspended, 150-hour service, 300,000 each. I listened to the sentence. It wasn't enough. But it was something. After the hearing, Karpin Sr. caught me in the corridor. Morozov. He looked 10 years older. Are you satisfied? No. I wanted real time for your son. But I promised my daughter no more revenge. The court has spoken. I accept it. He sighed. My son will carry that conviction forever. A political or business career is over for him. Maybe that's a good thing, I said. Maybe it'll teach him to value people instead of power. Karpin looked at me for a long time. You're a strange man. I thought you were a monster. Now I see you're just a father. That's all I ever was. He extended his hand. Let's end the war. No more moves against you or your daughter. Compensation paid in full this week. I shook it. Deal. 6 months later, spring came to Volgodonsk. Liza walks with almost no limp now. She never went back to dancing, but she discovered photography. Her pictures are beautiful. One even won a regional youth contest. I still fix cars. Life is quiet again. One evening Varnin pulled up in a black Volga. Got a one-time job. Good money. Need a man with your skills. I smiled and shook my head. Thank you, Igor Petrovich. But my war is over. I'm a father and a mechanic now. He nodded, understanding. A soldier's war never really ends. It just takes long breaks. Let mine last forever. He drove away. Under the floorboards of my shop, in a locked steel box, the Tokarev, the knife, the spare magazines, Varnin's card, and the black smirch patch still wait. Just in case the past knocks again. Because some things can't be unlearned. Some skills never rust. Some men are born to be weapons. And if the whirlwind ever has to rise again to protect my daughter, it will.